waited all winter for this.
It's the biggest race we have all year long.
The icons of this sport have all starred on its biggest stage.
It's the great American race. Trust me.
I won the Daytona 500. I won the Daytona 500.
Pull them belts tight one last time, boys. Light the fire.
Big push coming now for Harvick. Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Priest upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass.
You got plenty of money. Don't need that to keep racing. Is it worth the risk to keep on going?
Sure, to win.
Yeah, welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D.Y., joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Kyle Larson type of weekend. He was the big winner at his home track of Sonoma. The third win he's gotten there, chugging the wine at the end there. But make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends, do everything. You all know the deal by now, but especially tell your friends who are into NASCAR about this podcast. We got to spread the word. But we're available every Monday night, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. And on YouTube, you can see our faces. What's up, Matt?
Listen, if you're gonna be at Pocono, we have got 5 weeks. We'll put this PSA out there every week between now and then. If you're gonna be at Pocono, come find us in the infield. Come have a beer with us.
Yeah, we're gonna be in Tent Camping 1. If you know where the fan zone is, where the bandstand and all that stuff is going on, we're to the right of that. And where the giant video board goes on the weekend, we try to line up right in front and center, and we got to get there extra early this year to beat that fucking guy from New York again, so we can get those good spots. Cause we gotta do it. But the tickets are in the mail. The tickets are all ordered. Matt, did you get a hold of Bernie to figure out?
I did. So Bernie, I know Bernie's gonna listen to this.
Yeah.
All right. So Bernie, and I think Eric might be on the side of Bernie with this one. I don't know. Let's see. So I texted him. So I was like, okay, backstory is Whitey texted Eric and I the other night, and he's like, boys, just bought my tickets. Get your tickets. We're down to the last couple. Like, it's about to sell out. So I'm like, shit. So me and my buddy Bernie decided, okay, we're going to split a camping spot, right? And we're just going to go up together and do our thing. And we'll meet up with the boys and everything will be good. So I'm like, shit, whatever. Like, well, Bernie said he's coming, right? So I have to get the tickets one way or the other. So I texted him. I said, yo, you still good for Pocono? I got to order the tickets now. Didn't hear from him. So I'm like, screw it. Like, I'm not going to wait. We'll find somebody if Bernie's not in, right? So I order them. And Bernie, the next morning, he's busy with his job or whatever. So he texts me. He goes, oh, yeah, it's all good. I said, oh, no problem. I said, here's the amount you owe me. Just Venmo me the money when you get a chance. He goes, oh, I'll just drop off cash.
Bernie's a cash guy.
I'm famously not a cash guy.
Me either.
I don't have my wallet on me. It's downstairs. But if I had my wallet on me, I would show you that I don't have cash on me ever. Like ever.
Yeah.
And here's Bernie just wants to give me cash.
Here's $140, bud. Thanks.
You know how useless this sounds silly. It does sound silly, but do you know how useless cash is to me? I use my card for everything.
You know,
if I have cash, it's just gonna sit in my wallet, and it's just.
Matt, you know what I do when I get cash? I go to the ATM and I deposit the cash into the ATM into my bank account so I can pay my credit card. So there, you can do that if you want. Wells Fargo Bank does it.
When you go to dive bars as often as I do after work, early at 2 in the afternoon, you want to have some cash on you.
That's why
the establishments I'm going to is cash.
That's why I figured Eric might be on Bernie's side. And that's probably why Bernie has cash on him too.
That's why Bernie has cash. Bernie's getting paid in cash under the table for some jobs, and then he's going to the Lighthouse or he's going to Dallas's a dive bar to get some cheap beers. Yeah, absolutely. I get it.
So Bernie, if you're listening, listen, whether it's cash or Venmo, you still haven't paid me. Not that I need it. You can hold off. You can hold off. Actually, Bernie, because I know you're going to be listening. Save the money and give it to me when we're going to Pocono.
That's a good call.
I can use it up there.
That's a good call. I've done that in the past with Trey for our grandstand tickets. Just give me the cash there. That way you could buy your ice when you need it. You could go to the dirt merchants and buy some old outdated NASCAR gear for cheap. Yeah, that's a good idea. But
spread money around to whoever needs, like if we're splitting food or whatever the
porta
hell
potty.
So it's just, porta potty. Yep, we got to get the porta potty dues in.
Oh yeah, so that's actually a pretty good idea there. Boys, we got a whole mess to talk about. We got, well, not a whole lot of news, but there is a big piece of news. But first, how was your weekend? I saw Eric, you were at a concert on Saturday. Matt, you were watching the Xfinity race. I was chilling at a campfire. How are you? How was you guys' weekends?
Good. George Thorogood and CCR up Montage Mountain on Saturday night.
Nice.
So went up there early around, I don't know, gates open maybe 3:00. Tailgated for a little bit, then waltzed all up onto the lawn, which I'll tell you what, the lawn up at Montage is gorgeous now. Whoever is the maintenance, the lawn care, it's like it is baseball field-esque. Like
really?
Yes,
Okay.
like it's not the lawn that like I remember when we were like in our 20s. It was just dirt and mud and like
yeah,
and it was just all I mean, then again, it is still early in the season, so it's not all dried out and yellow yet. So they did a really good job with the lawn up there. So it was shoes, socks come right off when you go up there on the lawn, walk around, have a good time up there, and it was an awesome show, man. They killed it.
Did you wear your rattlesnake necktie for George Thorogood?
Oh yeah, I did.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, brother.
How about you, Matt? How was your weekend?
So Whitey, you were telling me a story, a story before we signed out about a little bit of a hairy situation, pun intended. So put Jackson down Saturday night, got the Xfinity race going. I'm gonna head out to the patio, get some use out of it, watch it out there, right? So my wife and I out there having a couple drinks, watching the race, and
oh no.
Now you guys know we have a herd of skunk around our house. I don't know, they're living in the woods.
Yeah.
I see them all the time. So we're very aware that there's a real possibility that we're gonna get. It's not a matter of if, but when. So we're out on the lawn, the patio furniture on the couch out there, and we have like the walls up on the gazebo, so we can't see two sides of us. And we smell it, and it's like it's not like, oh, there's a skunk in the area. It's like, oh, there's a skunk within feet of us. Like there has to. Like, yeah, I don't know if you've ever been too close to a skunk, but like it's a distinctly different smell when it's super
you're in radius of getting shot at.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, there's like it tingles your nostril hairs. Like it's so we're like, shit, like don't move. Like let's just if it's in the area, we have the fires going, the
tiki torches
going. Maybe it'll see the tiki torches. It'll hear the race on the laptop, and it'll just carry on its way. And so it's just not going away. The smell's just not going away. So I'm like, all right, I had my flashlight with me. I said, I'm gonna peek around the corner and just clear the area just to see where he is, so we know. Never found him. Never saw him. The smell was there for a while, but yeah, never crossed paths with them. But boys, it was cutting it close. Like I'm telling you, like one of these days, you guys are gonna get the text message. It happened. And you're gonna know exactly what I'm referring to.
No. It gets the heart going too. You get a little nervous.
She won't let me so I'm a hunter. She won't let me get like a nice airsoft gun and take care of the situation.
Just a little
I'm
22
totally
action.
willing to lay outside one night and just wait because he's around all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I shoot at the turkey vultures up the house all the time with the BB gun, dude. Little Red Ryder, 10 pump, and just to scare them out of the way. Yeah.
There's some nice airsofts with like the trifold stand. Like I could get dangerous, but I think I'm just gonna do it because I can't run that risk. I don't want to smell like a skunk because it doesn't I don't know. I had an employee a couple weeks ago. His dog got sprayed by a skunk, and he smelled for weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Weeks.
I had a coworker that's dog got sprayed, and he smelled for not weeks, but a couple days. Where it was like, ooh, I don't want to be around Jesse right now. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So Can't run that risk.
I've had a couple drunk encounters with skunks. As you guys know, I tend to wander when I get drunk. I like to walk home. Walk the.
Yeah, you're safe, man.
Right?
That's good.
And when we were younger, we used to hang out at our buddy Josh's house all the time. Right? Get hammered. He lived a couple blocks away, so I'd walk home. Well, it was Friday night, garbage night in West Pittston. And who loves eating garbage more than skunks? Dude, I'm hammered drunk, literally like 500 feet away from my house. And there's just a skunk going at the garbage, but I'm not paying attention. And I look up, I'm like, what? I'm like, oh no. And I slowly walked across the street and slowly walked up and back on over. 'Cause I ain't fucking around with no skunks. But last night, I don't know. I just looked it up because I was like, is it skunk mating season? Apparently skunk mating season is in the winter though. So yesterday we had a little storm roll in around 6 o'clock at night. Oh no, it was 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, oh, it's 60 degrees out. Let me open the windows, get a nice cross breeze going, turn off the ACs. Well, it sounded like a good plan until there was a skunk somewhere, sprayed somewhere, died somewhere. I don't know. All I know is that smell was all through the house all night long. I'm chasing the cats to see if they got sprayed through the windows and shit. So it's that time. It's that time of year, boys. Eric, watch out up in the mountains. I don't know if you got skunks up there, but you got a lot of kitties.
Oh, with the river right there, you got skunks. You might not know that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Eric's familiar. Eric's familiar with the smell.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get on to some NASCAR news. I only have a couple of stories to talk about, but one is the charter agreement update. And but first, Fox has ended its reign for the year, but Mike Joy says he intends to return to the Fox booth in 2025. He says he feels revitalized with Kevin Hart. I don't know. He says
just retire, Mike.
He says he feels revitalized with Kevin Harvick. Harvick brought his spark back. I think because Harvick's shitting on Boyer so much, Mike Joy can finally yeah, what is it with this guy?
I will say this. I do think he should retire, but I also think he has been better than last year with this new booth.
Yeah,
agreed.
I agree. Yeah. Go enjoy retirement, Mike. Go vintage racing.
It's time.
You know?
I was thinking about that a lot during the race. Like listening, I'm like, I could get over like sports broadcasting like that is big. Like nostalgia wise, listening, like nobody ever wants to have one of them ever leave the sport and change, but I think I would be okay with it. It's time to accept it.
All the respect in the world to Mike Joy. I love that guy. He's been the voice of our sport for 20 years, 23 years now. He's amazing.
Longer than that, because he worked for CBS before that. He worked for MRN. He's been around since the 70s, at least.
Been around forever. Like all the respect in the world, guy is a wealth of knowledge, but like also time to move on.
Yeah. I don't know. I say keep going as long as you have the passion for it. The last couple of years, it sounded like he was phoning it in. This year, he didn't. So as long as he doesn't keep phoning it in, I'm okay with it. I don't know who they would replace him with. You know,
Adam Alexander. I know he's going away, but
yeah.
I don't know if you have that in the news, but he's going to do IndyCar.
I didn't. Is he going to do IndyCar? Is that where he's headed? Are they working on that deal?
I think that was more than a rumor. I think that was reported this weekend.
Well, the Xfinity series is going away from Fox too, so he has to land somewhere. So it kind of makes sense now. Fox is in the bidding war to get IndyCar away from NBC, so it would be fitting. He is great. I feel like he's underrated.
Fox and NASCAR are from a couple different. Excuse me. A couple different things I've heard. Fox and NASCAR are not doing well. Like that relationship is not doing good. I know. I hope NASCAR just eventually says, yeah. I mean, Fox is probably pissed off that they've lost a lot of races.
Yeah.
They're losing all of Xfinity next year. They're not having that. You know, I'm sure they're pissed off. And Fox also, no secret, hasn't handled the NASCAR product well over the past 5 years. So
it's their own fault. They keep shooting themselves in the foot. Like
they just brought 100 employees out of Charlotte.
But it's just like simple things. Everyone's making fun of you for your cartoon animations. years, right? Even that everybody's making fun of you for it.
4
it's
years
in the
now.
public, like major people talking about it. And you just it's like
you used to change.
You don't care. Like,
right.
So why did they ever think, if that's what it was, NASCAR would ever change if they don't take them seriously? And I think that relationship has been going downhill for years, and that's why the product has been shit for years. And I think they were just waiting for this deal to either run out, and in a way, Fox in a whole might have phoned it in the last couple of years.
It's at the point now, like the internet rarely agrees on anything at all. Like you can find people on the internet, Americans on the internet that would that found the good in 9/11 for Christ's sakes. But this is one place where everybody that I saw in the comments. So Bob Pockrass, who works for Fox Sports, posted, and I'll just read it really quick. Leaving the last Cup/Xfinity race weekend on the Fox schedule always makes me thankful. I cherish the opportunity to work with the great and passionate people who strive for the best with our race telecasts. Every member of the Fox team makes the work so much more fun and so rewarding. And that was what Bob Pockrass tweeted out. So I was like, I got to read the comments on that, right? And every single comment was, Fox sucks. What are you talking about, Bob? We love you, but the product sucks. We love you, Bob, but the product sucks.
Yeah.
It's like the one corner of the internet.
Obviously, Bob doesn't have to watch the broadcast, right. And you want to know what's sad, though? Every now and then, like you said, I'll find some guy who's like, man, Fox is way better than NBC. I heard a caller on Dave Moody the other day. I had to turn him off because I'm like, well, your opinion's invalid. Right. Like
it's just wrong. It's not an opinion at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone's like, oh, Fox gives you so much more information. It's like, we didn't know how the lug nut worked until NBC took over in the first year of the next gen car. And then they had that breakdown that explained it almost perfectly, where we all understood. And
it was all of us were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they tell us that 15 races ago?
Yeah. It took us 17 weeks to get there. And then whatchamacallit? Oh, the big talk last week. Man, we should have recorded our podcast a day late last week because we had a whole lot of Kyle Larson waiver talk. And the next week, the next day, he was granted the waiver.
Thank God.
Move. NASCAR just avoiding a nightmare with that one. And then let's see.
Though, there were very real talks about not giving it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was close. It wasn't as unanimous as maybe we thought it might have been. There were some people in that front brass that was pushing back hard.
Yep.
Yeah, there was I forget where the rumblings were coming from, but they said basically a lot of higher ups were very pissed off about that whole ordeal. But at the same time, could you imagine if Kyle Larson goes out and wins Sonoma a week after not being granted a waiver? What a shitstorm that would have been. So I don't know. I'm still up in the air about it. I see it both sides, And then whatchamacallit, tickets now on sale for the 2025 Daytona 500. I had a pre-sale code last week, and I just never know if I should take advantage of those or not.
I feel like it's earlier and earlier every year.
It is, because it used to be August they would go on sale, and but you want to know what? They've been selling out quicker and quicker. So maybe they're like, hey, let's get them on sale. Let's make our money up front.
That lady in the ticket office died. The one that was there for every Daytona 500.
Oh yeah, since the beach.
They showcase her every year at the Daytona 500. Yeah, she passed away.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. She was 97 years old or something like that.
She was 184 years old. Yeah. She was so old.
What a life! What a dedication to the sport of NASCAR. The unsung heroes, the people behind the scenes, you don't realize. And then I was going to say one unsung hero, Todd Gilliland. He signs an extension with Front Row Motorsports. I found it interesting. It's a multi-year deal, and Michael McDowell left because they wouldn't give him a multi-year deal, which I find pretty interesting. What maybe some of those smaller teams are thinking, especially with these charters, and that leads me into major charter news. Not really. This is according to Jenna Fryer, the Associated Press. Multiple team owners have told them that the NASCAR's most recent proposal delivered almost 2 weeks ago was one of the worst offers yet from the Stock Car Series sanctioning body. This is not great news, guys. Among the complaints, The France family, which owns NASCAR as a private company, still won't budge on making charters permanent. They want to do 7 years with a renewal of 7 years after that. The series made rollbacks from previous offers, so they're taking stuff off of the table, and now includes a provision that would allow the France family / NASCAR to purchase charters, which are at the heart of the series business model. And they want to allow private equity firms to buy charters, which I think is an absolute god-awful idea. If you ever follow anything with private equity firms like Bain Capital and stuff like that, they basically just buy up companies that are failing, liquidate as much as they can, and then try to sell for a profit while sucking every single dollar out of a rock that has no dollars to give. So I don't know about that one. And let's see. So NASCAR's latest offer, charters were guaranteed for 7 years with another option for another 7 years. It also includes a cost cap. In addition to the France family being allowed to buy charters, a provision which NASCAR would allow private equity firms to buy into charters. Just so you know what a private equity does to a NASCAR team, look at Richard Petty Motorsports, because their silent investor was a private equity firm for a long, long time, and they didn't do shit on track. And we found that out as they got their charters sold to Jimmy Johnson and whatnot. So,
but NASCAR wants to be able to buy a charter back, though. They want to be able to, like, when the money and the value goes up, NASCAR wants to be able to buy it.
Yep. Absolutely. It's all shady. Now teams are worried. Top teams are worried that Front Row's announcement to buy a third charter is an indication that some of the smaller teams are ready to take NASCAR's offer, despite an alliance that would allow despite an alliance that all 15 teams would stick together in negotiations if there's still no future plan. Also, Front Row Motorsports, the charter they're looking to buy is going to go between $20 and $25 million, which is about half of what they were selling last year. And what it was like $40 million, something like that.
Reported, yeah.
And the teams apparently don't want to start their own racing league and believe NASCAR would move on without them, without the likes of Hendrick and Joe Gibbs and Team Penske, if they decided to boycott NASCAR, such as, a scenario where they would bring in lower series teams to run next gen cars and whatnot. If you want to see what that kind of looks like, there was a driver boycott. We talked about it a couple years ago when we used to do the NASCAR history segment, but the first Talladega race, there was tons and tons of worry over the track conditions and it being too fast and the tires being dangerous. So a lot of the drivers refused to race. I think only 3 drivers crossed the picket line, and then the rest of the field was fielded by basically Xfinity Series guys. It was the smaller pony cars, and they kind of put a kibosh on the end of that. So not exactly sure what's going to happen in the future. It seems NASCAR is really trying to put the pressure and divide the teams. It seems the bigger teams aren't happy with this deal at all, especially Denny Hamlin and 2311. They've been super vocal. A while back, Denny talked about they hired an antitrust lawyer, one of the best in the business, but so far there's been no filings of anything on that front. So we'll keep watching the story. Again, we just talked about Daytona 500 tickets are for sale, and I can't imagine Hendrick Motorsports or Joe Gibbs not being at the Daytona 500. So who knows? It seems like NASCAR is really trying to muscle them into just agreeing to whatever now.
And keep in mind with what I'm about to say is I don't know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff, but my gut feeling is telling me there's too many people who truly care about the sport of NASCAR, the Earnhardts of the world, the Hendricks, the Penskes, the Gibbs, to let this thing just whittle away and turn to dust. Somewhere cooler heads have to prevail, and they're going to figure it out. And that's just what I'm hoping for. And that's just what I'm leaning on. And I think they'll figure it out. I mean, they have to figure it out, or thousands of people's livelihoods are gone.
I think NASCAR's whole thought on this, because they've said it in the past, NASCAR is bigger than any team. NASCAR will be here after Hendrick closes. Supposedly. I mean, we don't know. It depends on business decisions and how they go over the years. This could be a major business decision and player. I mean, I don't know much about the IndyCar kart split back in the day, but it seems like this was kind of the type of thing that brought that along in the first place. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens, see if NASCAR can kind of muscle their way into getting their way, you know? Eric, you have any thoughts on any of this?
Nah, I really don't give two shits about any kind of agreement or charters, to be honest.
I'm with you. I'm sick of fucking talking about it.
Yeah, like at this point, like I am so far out of not knowing or giving a fuck. It's out of my completely out of my realm.
Yeah, dude. Not only is it out of my realm, but like at the end of the day, like put me in front of a TV at 3:30 on a Sunday and let me watch fucking racing.
Yep, I gotta put it on.
I get it. I just wonder, like, man, what if they don't get a deal done by Daytona? Like, that's like time is ticking. So
I think I'm with Matt, where it's like you just know that they're gonna figure it out because there's too much money on the line when it comes down to it. I know they're bickering about this and bickering about that, but if nothing goes down, they're gonna lose way more than just what they're fighting over in these little negotiations.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm with Matt, where I just know kind of let them work this out through, you know, in those backdoor greasy whatever handshakes they want to make with each other. I know come Sunday, I'm going to turn it on and they're probably going to be out there.
I'm at the point where I don't even care when they do come to an agreement. If they don't even give us the details, they just say, hey, we came to an agreement. Everything's good to go. Okay. Yeah. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, maybe I should, but I don't care. Like, either give me my racing or don't give me my racing, but one way or another, like, figure it the fuck out and let's move on because I'm so sick of talking about it.
I mean, not to get into the weeds or anything, but like, I would care more if I already knew that the product was in good hands and going in a good place and is in a good place. And it kind of like with this car and seeing how they're handling that and this, at this point, like, if we were seeing awesome racing and there was nothing wrong with this car and everything was going good, and the only thing that we were worried about was like, oh my God, like this could get pulled out from underneath us. This great racing, this new car and like that is the forefront. No, NASCAR's in the weeds in every aspect right now. Not only in this charter, but the racing, this car, like they're all over the place. So it's like, how can I care about that? I just want to care about them fixing the racing right now.
Yeah.
I don't care about charters. Let me know what you're going to do with this car. The shit that I care about mostly when I turn my TV on. That's what I want to see get fixed.
Let me know when you figure out how these cars can make a pass. Let's start there.
Well, I thought we saw some decent passing yesterday.
We did. And that's why Eric, I think what we're both trying to say is, Whitey, thank you for putting this in the news. It's important to somebody. It's not important to us. Let's move on because we had some great racing.
I was trying to use that as a segue to get right into the race weekend. So let's jump into the race weekend. We saw Shane Van Gisbergen get his second road course win in a row, burning it down, pushing Austin Hill out of the way. See you later, sucker. Man, what a fucking burnout that was. But I didn't see all of the race. I saw bits and pieces. I was checking in on my phone. We're hanging out with some of Bree's friends. And so, Matt, you watched a lot of the ending there. I think you saw probably, the third stage? Or you see most of it?
No, I saw most of the race. What'd
you think of the race? What'd you think of the finish and some of the chaos?
Man, like, SVG was just on a different level. Like, he and there was some booze involved, as there is on Saturday night. So just
always
the details are a little fuzzy, but from what I recall, and also I was watching the Stanley Cup game, so I was kind of bouncing. But from what I recall, SVG had like a great car. He had such a good car that like he opted for points, which is usually a death sentence for like a win. And I think when it all cycled through, he was like 8th or 9th or something like that, and he muscled his way up there and moved Austin Hill out of the way, kind of repaid him from last week, and won the race. I mean, that's all there was to it. Anyone who is maybe new to this needs to know that we are an SVG podcast. The three of us love that dude so much. Yeah. So all the Aussies and the Kiwis, I believe is what they call you over in New Zealand.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully you're still with us. You turned out our biggest podcast number ever that we had after SVG won in Chicago. So hopefully we retain some of you guys. We love SVG, and and then I don't want to get too much into the Austin Hill thing because I'm going to address that later on. But SVG, man, he was a man playing with boys there at the end. It was just, that's all it was. It was just, get out of my way. I'm going to shove you to the ground, and I'm going to do what I do best.
Playing with boys, huh?
And that came out wrong. It came out wrong. Okay. I wanted to just keep it moving.
That'll be on NASCOM.com.
Speaking of boys, though, what happened with Ty Gibbs on Saturday? I heard a lot of people were real upset with something that happened with him. Do you remember what happened? Was Ty Gibbs in the Xfinity race?
Yeah.
I think, didn't he raced someone really hard or punched someone out of the way, ended up causing an accident? Was that the deal? It doesn't even matter. It
doesn't get him. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, he doesn't get him. And then we saw a great Cup race. Kyle Larson led 2 times for 19 laps. We saw 8 cautions for 22 laps, an insane amount of cautions for a road course. 11 lead changes among 9 different drivers, and the race lasted 2 hours, 56 minutes, and 14 seconds, right under that 3-hour window, which I know I love. Your top 5, Kyle Larson, Michael McDowell, Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, and Ross Chastain. Fellas, what did you think about the race? We'll start with Eric this week. What was your race grade?
I gave it a B+. I turned it on knowing that, this car, whatever expectations like we've been talking about as far as going into it. And I kind of just left it up to, hey, let's see. We're halfway through. What did these teams work on? What did they improve on? What did they figure out? And how was this race going to go? And in the beginning, we really didn't get to know because there was just yellow after yellow after yellow after yellow, which it almost got me, boys.
Yeah.
It almost got me. I know we were texting about it where I was on the verge of losing it, where I think, Whitey, you said, are we in full chaos right now?
It's like, did we hit shit show territory or not?
Yeah.
It was close.
But after that, it was absolutely incredible, I thought. Once the yellows calmed down and it went green and we had some long runs there, the battles were great. We didn't see the leader get real far out and extend it and dominate and drive away. And I thought where you had to pass, you had to be aggressive. So we saw some aggressive moves at the end, and especially for the lead. You had to get there, and, we saw a rundown at the end with the 19 coming, and, we saw drama with running out of fuel. And I think it had everything I could have asked for out of Sonoma, to be honest. So it actually was better than I expected.
Yeah, I kind of agree. How about you, Matt? Sorry.
What I meant to say was a man amongst boys.
Yeah.
It's just
a little,
and it's a whole different thing.
Oh yeah, that's how you end up on a list.
I'm in the same neighborhood as Eric. I gave it an A-, B+, A-, right there. I liked it. I really liked it. I was kind of telling you guys, hey, at least we know that, not to expect much, for this race. And my expectations were low because the past couple of years of this new car. Listen, I used to be in the minority. There were some outstanding Sonoma races with the last gen car that I absolutely loved. I remember the one battle with Tony and Denny, I want to say, where Denny smashed into the wall coming out of 11, and there was a couple there. MTJ was involved in one in a chase down. There was a few really good races at Sonoma, and then this new car kind of ruined that. And we've come to get used to that with road courses, and I was pleasantly surprised. Eric, you're right. The first it was the tale of 2 different races, really. The first half of the race and the second half of the race were completely different. Where the one thing that Fox does good is they have that ticker up top with the green and yellow. And it was just green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, and then a long green at the end. And I'm happy it played out that way because we got to see, Larson chasing down Buescher and MTJ at the end there. And it made for a lot of drama the last 20 laps or so. So A lot of different strategy. I think there was 3. I think Whitey and I were, because we were watching the NASCAR app has the gas gauge on it, the fuel gauge on it, so you could kind of tell who's on different strategies with that icon. And I think there was like 3 different strategies playing out, and the best prevails, right? With Larson and crew chief, I'm blanking.
Cliff Daniels.
They drew up the best game plan, and it ended up working. The one thing that couldn't happen was a caution for them. I think a caution would have really fucked them over, and that didn't happen. And the best car definitely won yesterday. And guess what? We saw passing. Like, we actually saw passing. We saw aggressive racing. We saw battles for the lead pretty much throughout the race. And I really liked what I saw yesterday.
Even just Larson being on fresher tires, but we saw Martin Truex Jr. hunting down the leader, like making up ground. Like it was a really good race near the end. And I agree with you guys. I give it a B+. I thought it was great. It was a little messy in the middle there, turned into a shit show, but then they got their shit together. And we got everything I look for in a road course. We saw varying pit strategies. We saw a couple of gambles. Unfortunately, some of those gambles didn't pay off, I thought it was a really good race, especially at Sonoma, which I'm not particularly a big fan of Sonoma. Usually, even in the last gen car, like I started watching in 2019. So like 19, I didn't see a very good race. 20 with the old car, we didn't go there because of the pandemic. They couldn't go to California and stuff. So I've never really enjoyed Sonoma much, but I really enjoyed yesterday. I thought it was a great race altogether. And hopefully this is a sign for things to come. I saw, what's that, Matt?
I think you're heading in the same way that I was going to head. Didn't want to cut you off there, but are we going to let ourselves do it?
What's that?
Are we going to let ourselves get excited for Watkins Glen?
Oh, I am excited for Watkins Glen.
Because a couple years ago, we did either an off-season show or a bye-week show where we all listed our top 5 favorite racetracks, and all of us had Watkins Glen in that top 5 because Watkins Glen used to be awesome.
And this year it's a playoff race too.
Been the last couple of years, and I would love to see Watkins Glen return back to what it used to be. And if it's anything like yesterday, we're gonna see a good show.
What I was gonna say though is to expect more people to do different strategies. And I forget if it was at the teardown or if it was on the morning drive on Sirius XM that someone said. I think that it was an interview with Chase Elliott where he was talking about this is kind of where we're at with the car, where it's you have to try something different than everyone else and see what works. And that's kind of what we saw yesterday. We saw a bunch of different things tried. And that's kind of where we're at with, trying to get through these races. So I'm excited for Pocono to see if people do different varying strategies. I'm excited for pretty much all of it now.
We're at the point where, every race has always been somewhat of a strategy race, right? That's not that hasn't changed, but it's more prevalent now of different strategies.
Yep.
Than ever before, because that's how you're passing anymore. Really, largely, that's how you're winning races is through strategy and not necessarily track position.
It's the easiest way to make up that track position, let me pit. I think these guys are going to pit here. Let me pit 2 laps ahead of them, and then try to run that fuel right on the line, which we saw not work out for one guy this week. And we'll get into that. So let's do the checkers and wreckers.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
All right. Since we started with Eric oh shit, I lost my notes. My belly hit my pad. Since we started with Eric for the race grades, we'll start with Matt for the checkers and wreckers. Matt, what do you got?
So my checkers is basic and straight to the point, boys. Call it lazy, call it tradition, because I think I've done this. I think I've done this every year that we've had this podcast. So this is the 4th straight year I'm doing this. My checkers is that we've Give me a second. Actually, filibuster for just a moment. I'll give you my checkers.
I can't wait to hear this for the 4th year in a row. It brings joy to my heart every year. No Mike Joy pun intended on that one.
And it just goes to show that,
we're consistent.
They aren't getting better. There is no improvement amongst them on their part at all from year to year. Because if this is our tradition, then it's their own fault.
Welcome to the NASCAR Cup Series on NBC.
You're looking live at Homestead, where the championship will be determined tonight. Boys, I'll just let it simmer as I talk. My checkers is that NBC is back. Stevie Letarte would have been great yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That's exactly what we needed to follow it. You know what's bad? Kevin Harvick's been racing for, 35 years? He goes,
he couldn't figure it out.
This is the most confusing road race I've ever been a part of.
When I heard him say that, I knew. I actually took a deep breath and I go, okay, you're all right, Eric. Because I'm sitting there. I was enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. But I was also thoroughly confused on what was going on.
It's like, who's got a good car?
Harvick say oh, it's a hell of a lot easier to be behind the wheel. He said that multiple times. He's like, yep, a lot easier to be behind the wheel. All you got to do is drive fast. And it's like, you have to pay attention to all this bullshit. It was, we definitely needed a Steve Letarte there for sure, Matt.
Yeah.
Thank God. That will be actually next year, I won't be able to play the NASCAR and NBC theme. It'll have to be whatever the Amazon theme is.
We won't even know what the theme song is yet.
I hope them and TNT. Well, we know TNT used to have NASCAR, so we know what their jingle is. I hope Amazon has a banger of a jingle.
I wonder, will TNT use the same one that they used years ago? Yeah. What was it? It was like a heavy rock one, wasn't it? I feel like I can't.
I believe so. I would have to go back and listen to it, but they definitely had some sort of.
I remember back when I was a kid having to flip between TNT and TNT. I don't know if it was just my cable coming into the house, but it was always fucking blurry, not scrambled, but just kind of snowy. Do you remember how bad TNT was back in the 2000s?
There was a lot of TV channels that were snowy like that.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
But I agree, Matt. Excited for NBC to come back. See you later, Fox. How about your wreckers for the weekend?
My wreckers goes to, and I'm getting sick of him, but I'm sick. I am sick of him. I'm done with him. Austin Hill is my wreckers. He is the epitome of what is wrong with this generation, where he can push all he wants. He can do whatever he wants, but the second it gets done in return to him, his middle finger's out the window and he's threatening to fight people because he's a big old country boy.
Yeah.
And it's just Austin, settle down because you're losing a lot of fans right now.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I was a fan of his in the Truck Series. I was excited that he was coming to RCR, and because I was a fan of RCR, and man, just soured on him quick. He's 30 years old too.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's way too old to be this immature, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. That was shocking. I didn't know. I just thought, hey, he's been in the Truck and Xfinity Series. He's maybe lower 20s, younger 20s, but wow, I didn't know he's 30.
Yeah,
he's he's his own worst enemy, man. He's got to figure it out. And SVG, that I feel like SVG is the quiet giant. I feel like he's somebody that, they're hardened differently over there in Australia and New Zealand. You don't want to mess with that dude.
I like how
I just feel like Austin entered the realm of I don't want to say it's almost like once he got his wins and he started rattling off top twos, winning those races. He almost feels like when he's up there and those positions are entitled to him. It's like he has a privilege over the field in his mind for that spot, no matter what or who it is. He feels like, oh, this is mine. I am Austin Hill. He has that kind of ego to him. I feel like,
and
where
his attitude is to just I'll just push you around outside the track because I'm bigger and stronger than you. And it's like, dude,
yeah,
I don't know, like that. Like, listen, I'm all for a good old Donnybrook. Do not get me wrong, but like just the way he goes about it, it's I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way.
That's the thing too. He was on the Dale Jr. download last year, and I went in as a fan, and I'm like, man, I don't think I really like this guy much anymore. And just the actions on the track really show it too. And it goes down to like I don't know if he just sees it different. You know how we would get mad at Ross Chastain where he'd be like, yeah, I don't even know what I did wrong, you know? Where like he doesn't see anything wrong in what he does. And then like he just blames the other person for everything. Even this weekend, he goes,
Joey Logano.
He's like Joey Logano, but like worse somehow, you know? But yeah, I liked how SVG, when he got out of the car, or maybe it was in the post-race interview, he was like, yeah, you know, we each took one away from each other now, you know, where he's like, yeah, I think you earned the right to take that one away from what happened at Coda, you know? And then, whatchamacallit, even Austin Hill, he goes, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm going to let the keyboard warriors decide because no matter what my opinion is, it's always wrong. And it's like, well, maybe your attitude's just fucking wrong. Maybe your attitude's just shit, you know? Because it's all right to be a cocky driver. It's all right to know that, like,
100%.
Right?
100%. Yeah, it's totally fine. But it's the way you carry yourself.
Yeah, I agree on that one. How about you, Eric? What's your checkers and wreckers for the weekend?
Well, fitting. My checkers goes to the one SVG.
Yeah.
Awesome to see him go back-to-back Xfinity. And there's a road course in the playoffs. So this to me is it's no fluke now. I remember when Junior said, you better get in that car and you better win or come top two. And he seems to be doing pretty good at that. So I don't see him as a playoff gimmick anymore. No. I see him as a legitimate playoff threat now because even on ovals, he runs top 10, top 12 almost damn near every week. And some other racetracks even up front for wins on ovals, just being there. To me is impressive. So yes, back-to-back on road course in the Xfinity series to me shows that, you know, some of these guys that are coming from other series, supercars where he's coming from, man, if they figure out ovals or even if road courses are more prevalent in the playoffs, man, look out because they might actually change the whole landscape of the sport because if they decide just to come over and they know they could whoop ass on a road course like this, they'll put together a full-time team that knows that you just need one race and I could win that one. I don't know. It might put a win in your in. It might flip that on its head if you see some of these good supercar and other series drivers coming over and doing as well as they are. I mean, SVG's leading the way now, and it seems like others are slowly creeping over here and doing well in the car too, showing speed. Maybe not the results of SVG, but the speed is there. So I just, you know, I always love when someone like that comes into our sport and does well. So I'll always root for my boy SVG.
And the super guy or the supercar guys are coming. There was I forget his name. He was in the 33 for RCR this weekend, and he did really well in practice and qualifying. He was running pretty decently. I forget what exactly happened with that car, whether he was involved with an accident or it was
something blew up in it.
It was
if
like
I'm
an
not
issue
mistaken, in that 33. Yeah.
I'm trying to find.
You're talking about Will Brown.
Will Brown?
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to find the qualifying results from the Xfinity race to get the time right. But did you see SVG? His qualifying run was at least a half a second quicker than everybody else. It might have been
a full second.
Was it a full second? I want to say it was like a second and a half.
And he said he slipped up halfway through. He goes, it could have been better.
Yeah. And he said after last week, he figured out what he needed to tell the crew to give him the car that he needed, which just says like, man, this guy is going to be dangerous.
He's figuring out hey, this is what we call it over here. This is what I'm feeling and how to explain it in English
like NASCAR
or in
terms.
our racing terms. Yeah. And look out, because if he mopped up the field by over a full fucking second and look out.
Dude, once he figures out ovals, dangerous, man. He's like 38 years old too. So he's whipping
Give
those
him hell for 5 years and see what
Yeah,
happens, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
he's whipping those young boys and jerking them around. Sorry. Anyways, what's your I'm sorry, man. That was dumb. What's
We're
your
gonna have to figure out a way to probably cut that one out.
what's your record?
So my records goes to MTJ. Oh, it's just terrible to see. I don't want to wreck them. It was tough for me to pick a records. And it was either going to be that or this is a Denny Hamlin catastrophe I was going to go with because Toyota scary. I'm sure Christopher Bell, after all the issues and everything, he was a little nervous. And there's a little bug amongst that crew right now. But, man, just feel it for MTJ, dude. Like, knowing that you're going to come home P2 at least, and to have that happen, it was just a heartbreaker for him.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, man, I don't even want to tell you this, Matt, but I was about to snap you before he ran out of gas, where I'm like, man, he's not going to win, but he's going to get a solid second place finish. And I was going to send to you, I was going to go, Matt, like, what a time to be a Martin Truex Jr. fan, because there's talks of retirement. Like, you're along for the ride for the last ride, you know? And I'm like, and he's fucking doing it. And then he ran out of gas. It was like devastating. And according to like all reports, he had no clue he was even close, which means that's just a straight up crew chief foul up. Like the crew chief.
That's the second race in a row that's happened. Not to MJ, but last week with Blaney, this week with Marty. It's like,
but like you gotta blame James Small on that one, right?
Martin Truex thing that happened to him though. Too.
It is,
like,
man.
This is
right?
No shock to. Like, if you've been around and you've been following Marty or even have an ear to the ground when it comes to his name, this type of situation in races is kind of Martin Truex Jr.-esque.
He just has that black cloud over him at all times. And, like, he always seems to, like, get past that black cloud. And, like, he wins a championship with Furniture Row. And he rips off whatever 6-7 wins. And he just wins the regular season championship, then fucking flatlines in the playoffs. Like, it's just this bad luck that just looms over him at all times. And it's just, and he's just like, he just powers through it in life. You know,
I wonder if there would have been any difference. I know it's like ifs and buts, but like, what if Cole Pern just didn't go back to Canada? You know, he just stayed in the sport for a couple more years. Like, where would MTJ be right now? You know,
I don't play the if game either because you just never know. But I would like to think that his career would have. And listen, like, we're not talking about a guy who's finishing 30th in points every year, right? We're talking about a guy who's almost always in the hunt for the championship.
He's still in fifth
He's
in points.
Having a great, but like, what could have been with a better crew chief? Because at this point, and he like he'll never. I don't think he doesn't have the personality to come out and say like, I don't like James Small, but like those two get after it at each other. Like they go to each other's throats during races. And to the point where like it's a little something more than just competitive spirit during a race.
I feel like it's understandable for Martin Truex Jr. And, you know, you watch something like yesterday happen, just devastating, you know, like I was heartbroken for you.
So we were outside and Steph was in the yard with the baby and, you know, he's running around and Steph's like, is it almost over? I'm like, yeah, last lap, you know, he's going to come in second. Cause I knew, you know, he wasn't going to get Larson at that point. He's like, going to come in second, you know, that's a heck of a finish. Wish he could have won the race. And so I had my laptop out there. I was getting ready to close it. And they're like, whoa, what's wrong with Martin? I'm like, what's wrong with Martin? What is he? What? And it's just like they show his car just stopped. And I'm like,
Fox almost missed the car, barely moving down the finish line too.
He ran out of gas 100 yards or whatever it was before the finish. Yeah, that sucks. Like that sucks, man.
Apparently.
And like, what would you want? You don't like playing what ifs, but like if he got around Buescher 2-3 laps sooner than he did, maybe he would have been able to cruise a little bit. You know, I don't know. Who knows? But it sucks. Whatever. It is what it is.
But that's the thing. He was never even told to save gas. Like it wasn't an issue in his head. And apparently the crew chief didn't even know to warn him. You know,
it sucks because he's fifth in points now. He's fallen another spot again. So he's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, he was fourth going into the weekend.
He would have had what 9 more finishing second. He would have had 9 more playoff points to.
I wonder if the elevation there has anything to do with maybe miscalculating on the fuel.
It might.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if there's a gauge that tells them, like, I wonder how they read that. I know it's like miles per gallon most of the time, but like going uphill, downhill, like how much is your driver really on throttle? Like I know the SMT is like tight, but I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
You know, and you want to know what? It might just be a next gen issue too, because I remember an instance 2 years ago listening to Tyler Reddick's radio where they didn't get enough gas in the car. And Randall Burnett, the crew chief at the time, was just like, these next gen cars don't take fuel for shit. He said that on the radio.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it stuck with me. And like that could have been what happened. Where if it doesn't lock in properly, it's not flowing perfectly. Yes. Who knows? It could have been any of those things. And I know they watched the replays of the pit stops after the stops happened. Might have just been one of those miscalculations where they didn't even think about it, you know? Same thing happened
but they
with
call it a
Blaney.
miscalculation. Yeah, the calculation was correct. If that
get all the fuel in.
and that fuel can dumped as much fuel as it was supposed to allow into the car, the calculation was right. Those crew chiefs aren't going to fuck that up.
Now,
I think it was something within the mechanical moving pieces and parts of the fueling system that didn't allow it in there, because that's rare for back-to-back weeks for a crew chief to get something wrong like that.
Yeah.
Like
now,
flat out wrong. Like that's tough.
Now at the same time, he did do a lot of battling too, though, where like maybe just burned a lot more fuel than they expected, you know, because how long was he battling with Buescher side by side, you know?
Denny Hamlin said, though, too, about Blaney last week, and I guess it applies to Marty this week, is it may not have even been a miscalculation on that last stop. It could have been a miscalculation from earlier in the race, and it just trickles from stop to stop, you know?
That's a really good point, too, because we've seen that kind of strategy, too, where it's like, hey, come in a little early. That way we don't have to use as much gas or take fuel it's come in late. That way we don't have to fuel up for that stop after that. So who knows? I mean, I'm sure they'll figure it out, but it's just devastating all around. And then anything more to add to that? Did you give your checkers, Eric?
Yeah,
no? Okay.
SVG.
Okay. I know sometimes you start with your wreckers and then I lose track of my own deal. My checkers and wreckers, I'm going to give my checkers to Kyle Larson. Usually we don't really talk about the winner much, but I mean, he just a great call by Cliff Daniels. It proved to be the winning strategy. We all know how great crew chief Cliff Daniels is too. And from what Larson said in the past, he's always ready to change strategies. Like Cliff has a million different contingency plans for anything that could come up. And we need it.
He's so good.
Yeah. And yesterday was the proven fact. Like that was the race you need to be on your toes with all of those cautions. No one expected 8 cautions that early on in a run. Usually they happen at the tail end of a road course race. You get that one caution, then everyone piles into each other on the restarts because they're fighting for every spot. But yeah, can't say enough about that pair. Just the driver crew chief combo.
They're the new Chad and Jimmy.
Yeah, but think about this. 20 drivers in a field that could win a race realistically, right?
Yeah.
Drivers. Realistically, out of those 20 drivers, there's probably 5 crew chiefs.
Like elite crew chiefs.
Elite crew chiefs.
That's true.
So it's like that to me is like when you sometimes it doesn't matter the team you're on, sometimes it doesn't matter the car you're driving. It matters what guy you get paired with up on that box. Because a crew chief could elevate you from being a 15th place driver to being a winning driver. They really could.
You know how to tell?
We're just talking about it with James Small and Cole Pearn, the difference that we believe it's making on Martin's career.
I don't know if you guys will agree with this, but you know how you know that you're an elite crew chief when you know someone else's crew chief's name. You know, I barely remember Tyler Reddick's crew chief from week to week, right?
Yeah.
But we know Rudy Fugle, fantastic crew chief.
I was just going to say Rudy.
Chris Gabehart, Cliff Daniels, Rodney Childers,
Alan Gustafson.
But here's the thing. I don't remember who Alex Bowman's crew chief is. So that just goes to show the disparity in one team. Yeah. You know? Like, I only know James Small because he's not Cole Pern.
Right.
Like that's kind of where it is. I don't know Christopher Bell's crew chief's name.
Yeah, you do.
It's Adam Stevens. Well, he was a legendary crew chief with Kyle Busch too.
He's another one. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget he's with him now a lot of times, but how many are those crew chiefs on their toes thinking about every single one? So yeah, I don't. You want to know what? I'm not even giving my checkers to Kyle Larson. I'm giving it to Cliff Daniels on that one. And then my wreckers, I really didn't know what to wreck besides my driver. He was on the same strategy as Larson.
He did a good job of doing that himself, though.
Whoa!
What's that? Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. Anyways, what I was going to say is he's on the same strategy as Larson, which was the winning strategy. And then he just drove it too deep, locked up the brakes, did Reddick things, even listening to an interview with him today, he said he always struggles here and at Watkins Glen because they're not as technical. He needs to carry more speed where he's used to, diving it on into all of the passing zones. There's not as many passing zones. So just stuff to improve on his. Other than that, he kind of salvaged it. He got an 8th place finish, which was more than I thought he would. I was staying away from Reddick all weekend long, even with the outside pull. I was like, I'm not playing him in fantasy. I didn't even pick him in the head-to-heads in fantasy, which kind of turned out to be a good thing for me. So just got to give the records to my driver. Just kind of blew that one. And then other than that, Chris Buescher had a hell of a run. Looked like he had winning speed too. He led twice for 32 laps. Chase Elliott, not really in the mix, but there at the end, getting a 4th place finish. He led once for 3 laps. Let's see.
He was on one of those strategies where if a caution came out,
he would have been.
He was sitting in the front.
Yeah.
I think him and McDowell were on the same one where if they needed that caution, I think, to get through. Because I was looking at that, I'm like, ooh, Chase at the end. At one point in that last stage, I'm like, here he comes up there in front. I'm like, this could be it. But I think he was in one of those strategies where they needed a caution to come out.
Yeah, they both took stage points in that first stage and kind of tried to flip it around and everything. I was impressed by Michael McDowell too. He wasn't really in the hunt for the win, but he drove his way back up to a 3rd place finish, and then Martin, fell back, so he got that 2nd. What's up?
We do know Alex Bowman's crew chief. It's Blake Harris, and his wife is Caitlin Vincey.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. So
I forgot about that. I was like, wait, I was thinking to myself while you were talking, like, wait, who is his crew chief?
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's right.
I thought it was Greg Ives. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Greg Ives is, he's in the Xfinity series now, isn't he? Or no, he's like competition director.
Yeah, he's like, I believe, higher up at Hendrick.
Right?
Yeah, I think he was just on the box for
Chase Elliott in the Xfinity series. Yeah, he was in the Chase Elliott one that he won.
That's who it was. That's exactly who it was. It was Greg Ives was on top for Chase, but I think just like. So
when did Greg leave? 2 years ago? Last year?
A couple years ago. It's been a couple years.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's all I got though. Anyone else stand out to you guys? Apparently there was an incident where Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch, but we didn't see it on TV. Did you guys see the replay?
We just saw Kyle spinning out and then getting back in line. We didn't exactly see what happened.
Yeah.
And they didn't show a replay. I didn't see any other angles of it either.
No.
I think they were going to until Martin ran out of gas, and that was kind of the focal point. Happened seconds before that.
Yeah.
I was scrolling Twitter like mad to see, like, after that race to see if anything happened or if they showed it, like looking for a video, see anything that happened, and apparently nothing, I guess.
I guess
of it. I mean, it would have been nice to have a replay of it out there, at least
that's a replay
different angle.
A replay is too much to ask, Eric.
Yeah.
I guess Kyle did park his car, but like backwards on the pit road and just left it there, like and just bounced, which is
I love it.
I love it, man. That's Kyle. Like, there's only one driver that can get away with doing that, and I think it's hilarious. And it's him.
Yeah. Anyone else, you'd be like, oh man, what an asshole. But it's like, no, that's
like,
Kyle Busch.
I can totally see Kyle leaving out of one of the exit one of the exit gates and parking his car in the actual parking lot of the race and walking back to the hauler and just saying, go get it. I don't care.
Just come pick it up.
Has Kyle Busch won a pole recently? When's the last time Kyle Busch won a pole?
Last year, maybe.
I feel like he used to get the pole all the time when he was in that 18 car.
Dude, it's been pretty bad for him. He has.
You know what? I'm going to go out and say it. I miss goddamn Kyle Busch in that 18 car.
So do I.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it.
And you want to know
100%, dude. That was his identity.
Dude, his streak is on the line, too. He's won at least once a season since he started. It might not happen this year.
I still think it's going to.
It has to. It has to.
Yeah.
Pocono. Because you want to know what? Randall Burnett always.
Pocono. Yeah. I might put my house on Kyle Busch at Pocono.
Because Randall used to put together a decent car for Tyler Reddick at Pocono. And then, Kyle Busch is just phenomenal there. So I think he has a chance there. But other than that, I don't really have much else to add to the race. You guys have anything else?
It was good. It was good for Sonoma, for road course, for what this car to offer. I have nothing but good things to say about it. It kept me intrigued. I remember at the end just watching the times. Up, he's got 1 second. Okay, up, down to 7. Up, down to half a second. Up, he's gaining on him. Like that was it was really, really exciting to follow and watch Larson rip through the field. He had to catch those guys. He had to pass a lot of people to go through that field and get up there and take that win away. So, it was an exciting road course race out of this car. So you got to take that.
Who knew that to get a great next gen road course race, we needed a repave? You would think it would be the opposite, but it really did. It gave us a great race.
This car is doing the opposite of everything that
we know. Yeah,
we've ever known before. Yeah.
We got to repave every single track, boys. Because North Wilkesboro repave was pretty decent. Where else has been repaved recently?
Get Trey's buddy Pat up to Pocono. Stat.
Get him paving now. What you call it? But let's see. Here on the Bum Around podcast, everyone loves to talk about the winner, one Kyle Larson on a Monday. We also like to talk about the loser. It was one Denny Hamlin, blew up on lap 2. Imagine going all the way to California, not even Southern California, Northern California, to go and blow up in 2 laps. And then he probably had to sit there and wait for whoever was in his private jet with him, because he always flies with some of his buddies and stuff. He's probably sitting at the tarmac waiting for fucking Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to get to the.
Nah, dude, 2311 owner now. He went right up on top of the pit box of one of his cars.
No. I listened to the podcast. He bounced.
Did he really?
Yeah, he bounced. Yeah.
Was he able to get out of there, or did he have to sit at the airport waiting?
He got out of there.
Wow,
he got out of there.
I thought he would have stayed with his team.
No, he bounced.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. I would have went and bought a couple bottles at the airport and got the fuck out of there.
That's exactly what he did. Yeah.
Let's see. But we are heading to a new track for the NASCAR Cup Series. We're heading to Iowa when we switch to the NBC portion of the schedule. So you got to make sure you have the USA Network tuned to your TVs for Xfinity on track Saturday 3:30 on USA for the Hy-Vee Perks 250, and then Cup on track Sunday 7 p.m. It's a night race on USA for the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol, and it's a 300 miler, so hopefully we're not racing too late into the night in Iowa. Fellas,
green flag will probably be 7:20. That race all goes according to plan. It'll be over by
10:30, I'm hoping. Let's see. Fellas, to go over our picks from last week. Matt, you're the big winner. You picked Chase Elliott. He got you 40 points. Eric, you picked Christopher Bell. He got you 28 points. The only Gibbs car to survive the day. And then I picked Martin Truex Jr., which I was really pumped about up until the last lap. And he got me 18 points. Matt, I was just as devastated as you were, man. Because, I feel like, didn't Martin have an issue at some point early on in the race, too? I'm like, great. That was
spun out early.
And I was like, great, that was my pick. I was still driving home from the grocery store listening on the radio. I'm like, great, fucking Martin spun out. That was my pick. There goes my pick for the day. And then finally that last stage was happening. I'm like, oh, shit, all right. Nope. Anyways, that means I get to go first. Eric, you get to pick second. And Matt, you pick third. And I've already decided. I had two guys.
I know, me too. I already know. Don't take him. Don't take him. You're gonna do it too. I know it.
I had two.
Eric's definitely gonna take my guy.
I had two people in mind because both of these guys did the tire test.
Don't say the other one. I know who you're taking.
I'm picking Kyle Larson to go back to back. He did the tire test. There's a little bit of a weird repave in the corners, but not the whole entire track. It's going to be one groove or searching for it, and I think Larson's going to get it done back to back.
Eric, look at me.
This is easy.
Don't do it.
This is so easy.
It's so easy.
It's unbelievable. The Cup Series has never been here before.
Oh, no!
You know, when the Cup Series goes
he doesn't
somewhere,
have a win yet either.
For the very first time, you pick one driver and one driver only.
I fucked
and
up.
It's the one that none of us ever want to pick on this podcast. And it's one that I rarely pick on this podcast. And Matt is putting them up there. I'm putting up the 22 of Joey Logano to win at Iowa.
Damn it, dude.
Damn, I forgot, dude.
Damn it.
Damn.
I'm like, there's no way it's making it me. If I wasn't first, I'm like, there's no way I'm getting him.
I had it in my head all day.
Ford has been hot. He's been tested on the flat tracks. This just has his name written all over it.
I thought to myself, maybe those two, it's Monday. Maybe they're just going to forget.
Wasn't even on my radar. Guy hasn't won all year except for the All-Star race, which was on a repave and a flat track. Fuck me.
All right, so hold on.
Matt, if it helps you out, Brad Keselowski and Christopher Bell were the other two that did the tire test here a couple weeks ago.
No. I'm taking Christopher Bell. I'm taking Christopher Bell.
Yeah, it's a similar track
short track. He's raced here in the Xfinity series. He's raced there in the Truck series. He's been here before, not that really matters because it's different vehicles and stuff, but he at least knows the track a little bit, and it's short track, and he's got speed every week. So I'm going with the 20 of Christopher Bell.
I like it. We'll see if Joey Logano wins for sure, though. We're 16. I can't believe I forgot about Joey Logano.
He's like Truex on a
tracks.
Monday. It's a guarantee, baby.
Man.
It's a guarantee.
You know what we need Sunday night? Big old rainstorm, so Martin Truex Jr. gets to win on a Monday. Because he's great at these flat tracks, too.
Is it Iowa City? Where's that racetrack at?
I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you. I don't know anything about Iowa. And, I know that there's Interstate 80 goes through Iowa, right? And there's a big truck stop out in Iowa on I-80. What's the name of that? It's like the dumbest fucking name.
Football team.
I-80 truck stop.
It's in Newton, Iowa. I think that's a made-up town.
Do you know what the name of this fucking...
Where is Iowa?
do you know where the fuck this... Do you know what the fucking name of this truck stop is? I'm trying to think of on I-80 in Iowa.
Loves?
No. Iowa 80, the world's largest truck stop. Can you get a better name? Can you come up with something more clever? Anyways, that's all I know about Iowa. They have a giant truck stop with a movie theater and all sorts of shit there. But Iowa 80.
92 degrees, 15% chance of rain. Whew. It's gonna be hot.
But it's going to be 7 at night for the time difference. What that puts it at like 4 o'clock? Is that
it'll be track tab will be out there.
It'll
be good. Maybe it'll change.
No, dude, Whitey, it's probably 5 o'clock. It's probably 2 hours.
I don't know where Iowa is, to be honest with you.
If you gave me it's so good.
Time.
Oh, it's Central Time. Yeah. Oh, it's under. Okay,
this is something you guys might not have known about me, but if you gave me a blank map of the United States right now, I'd be able to fill out every single state.
I would be able to too, and I would be the last one because it's the process of elimination.
Oh no, I'd be able to do it and do it confidently in under like 3 minutes too. Yeah, for whatever reason, I'm really good at America. If you dropped me off in a state blindfolded, and I could just get home without GPS just by like looking at like street signs and stuff, I'd be able to find my way back home.
Vermont or Rhode Island, which is on each side?
Vermont is the more landlocked
Okay.
one.
All right. Just
Matt would crush it, like in those NASCAR things in the beginning when they're not going to commercial, where they give them like a whiteboard and they have to make them draw something. All of them always suck. There's never anyone that gets them like, oh, like, what racetrack is this? They never know what it is.
no. I don't even know what you're talking about. I think I missed that.
They do like those little gimmicks in between like segments or whatever, where they'll be like, oh, like they'll tell them to out of your memory draw Sonoma, and they'll try to like go through the turns in their head and draw it.
Eric, I just told you I was on my way from the grocery store listening to the the PRN broadcast of the race. I don't see pre-show at all.
I like pre-show and post-show, and we don't get jack shit.
Whitey, Vermont and Rhode Island aren't. You're probably thinking of
Vermont, New Hampshire. That's what I was thinking. I just want, see, I tested you there.
Rhode
Island's above Connecticut, right?
Yeah,
or
it's in
Massachusetts.
Minga, are we off the rails on a Monday, boys?
So it goes Maine and then Vermont and then.
In case we have any New Englanders listening to us, we want to get the geography right. Okay.
So it goes Maine, Vermont, and then what is New Hampshire? New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Delaware. Oh no, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware. We're getting in the weeds.
Everybody has stopped listening.
Anyways, we're 16 races into the 2024 season. We have 9 different winners. William Byron, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, and Austin Cindric. Can Christopher Bell get his 3rd win of the season? Can Joey Logano get his 1st win of the season, or Kyle Larson get his 4th win of the season and his 2nd back-to-back? We will find out this Sunday, 7 p.m. on USA Network for the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol. And we'll break it on down for you right here on the Bumper Run Podcast. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night and go Celtics.
There it is.